Hey there, everyone. I'm Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy, your guide to the night sky this week. Thanks so much for joining me, and Happy New Year 2022, folks. Here we are. This is our first show for the year. Thank you so much for spending a few precious moments out of your day with me. We're here, of course, every week to talk about what you can see in the night sky. Wherever you are around the world, there's always something that you can enjoy in the night sky. I hope you've had a great vacation. I hope you had some calm moments. I know it's been a struggle for most of us here in Montreal, Canada. We're in a lockdown situation again. Tough stuff, definitely. And I hope you're all staying safe and healthy wherever you are. It is bitterly cold here where I am. Here in Montreal, it's beautiful sunny outside. I'm looking out my window. Beautiful, clear blue skies, but my goodness, minus 23 degrees Celsius. Minus 23 degrees Celsius. Very, very cold this morning here, but beautiful skies. So I'm hoping I could do some star watching from where I am, even if it's through my windows. I'll be looking out, that's for sure. So I hope you're all doing well, and I've got the chat room open, comments coming in from everywhere, wishing Happy New Year. Thank you so much for all of you. We've got folks from New Mexico, from Connecticut, we're Azerbaijan. My goodness, welcome, Ravane. Very nice to see you. Madrid, Spain, Maria is here. We've got folks from Mexico, Pennsylvania, Christine from Pennsylvania, hello. Graciela from Argentina, so wonderful that you can join us today. Vanessa as well from Connecticut. We've got Marilyn from Brennan, Germany. Wonderful. Happy New Year to all of you. West Texas, Linda. Graciela wishes me a Happy New Year. Same to you. All the best wherever you're watching. Alexandra, Bulgaria. Fantastic. So happy that you're all over the world doing some sky watching. So here we are. Why don't we just dive right in? We've got the night skies set up here for Monday, January 3rd, 2022. I can't believe that. 2022. Hopefully this is going to be a better year for all of us, and some normalization perhaps in our lives. But of course, the skies continue to turn and give us wonderful things. And here's the setup for Monday night with the moon joining Mercury. Now we're looking in the southwest about 15 minutes to a half hour after your local sunset. On Monday night, January 3rd, the moon is a whisker-thin crescent moon. Look at that. A whisker-thin crescent moon. Just fantastic. And look at that. There's Mercury right next door to it. Now, Mercury is the innermost planet, the closest planet to the sun, of course. So it never travels far away, and it is a challenge normally to find it and see it. Now, Mercury is just now climbing out of the glow of the sunset, and it's becoming easier to see. And if you want to use, the moon is a great also beautiful guidepost in finding planets. But in this case, the moon is actually quite a challenge because it's so close to the horizon and in that glow of the sunset. So maybe perhaps I think tonight, try using binoculars to pinpoint Mercury. Mercury should be visible to the naked eye in that glow. Just be patient. It looks like a very faint star, a dot there, glowing in the sunset. And just below it will be that whisker-thin, dramatically thin crescent moon. So again, this is Monday night that we're looking after sunset. But if I go to Tuesday, January 4th, look where the moon is now. The moon has now jumped higher into the sky and snuggled up right next to Saturn. Saturn's like my favorite planet. I think a lot of us who have telescopes love looking at Saturn. Never gets old. With, of course, those magnificent rings. They are revealed even in small telescopes. So perhaps you got a new telescope under the tree this Christmas for the holiday seasons. This is a fantastic opportunity if you have no idea where to find Saturn. That beautiful crescent moon will be positioned right next to it. And the two will be very close. So if I go here and I'll take a measurement very quickly, to show what the distance, it's less than 5 degrees apart. Now, what does that mean? 5 degrees apart. So if let me just switch back to my camera here at my desk. If you take your fist and you hold it out at arm's length, the width of your fist, closed and clenched like this, the width from where your thumb is to your little finger, that is approximately equal to about 5 degrees in the sky, if you hold it at arm's length like that. And so if you hold it at arm's length, and it will fit, the spacing between the moon and Saturn will be equal to approximately the width of your fist held at arm's length. Gives you an idea of what the positioning will be in the sky. So going back to here, you can see that. So your fist will generally, everyone's, hand size is different, of course, but this is just a general rule that helps us position ourselves in the sky and understand the sizes and spacings between objects. And so that's the distance that separates these two objects, just to give you something to prepare for as you're going outside and looking at this pairing. And of course, the pairing, this is the view that you would have in an average pair of binoculars. Approximately, the two will fit just about in an average pair of 7 by 50 pair of binoculars, which is the most common. This is about the 7 times magnification. The two will fit nicely in there. And of course, if you have that telescope and you point it at Saturn, now that you know where it is, look at that. That is about what you would see through a small telescope. Clearly seeing those rings, just like what you would see in your books, your guidebooks, and pictures taken by Hubble space telescopes and those space probes like Cassini and Voyager that have gone next to by this planet or orbited this planet. This is the view that you would get, and clearly seeing those rings. And just imagine, those rings are billions of pieces of ice, boulders, and some the size of a car or a house, others the size of literally sand grain sized ice pieces that are all in orbit around Saturn. And it's amazing to think they're only about 5 kilometers thick, but they're very reflective. Those ice particles reflect the sunlight very well, and that's why you can see them like this in your telescope. And of course, with under higher magnification, you start seeing details. Like one of the details you'll see is this dark band that separates the outer rings and the inner rings. That dark is actually band is actually a gap in the rings. It's called the Cassini division, named after the astronomer Cassini, who really looked at and studied Saturn to a great extent. And of course, the Cassini mission is named after that astronomer. And so you can see that in the skies on Tuesday, again, this is Tuesday, January 4th, is when the moon will be positioned next to Saturn. Now, if we move to Wednesday this week, Wednesday, the 5th, the moon will be a thicker crescent higher up in the southwestern sky. And look at that. Jupiter will be right next to it. It'll be a beautiful pairing. Again, this is happening after sunset. Wherever you are around the world, this is something that you'll see. The positioning will be different, won't exactly look like what you're seeing here. This is the sky as it looks like about mid-northern latitude, about halfway from the equator to the North Pole, in that general region. So you're talking about cities like New York, Washington, Rome, Tokyo, that kind of latitude north of the equator. But even if you're in the southern equator, you will see this south of the equator. It's just that they will be shifted in a different position from this. But the moon will be next to Jupiter for everyone around the world. And it'll just be a beautiful sight. Try to take a photograph of this. Even with your smartphone, you should be able to take a photograph. I'd love to see it. Share it on my timeline, on my Facebook channel, or if you're on YouTube or on Twitter. I'd love to be able to see what you're taking a photograph. Do share. That'd be wonderful to see. So the moon next to Jupiter. And then you can see that the moon will, by Thursday, will be farther away from Jupiter. Again, higher up in the sky the moon is. This is Thursday. Friday, you can see it's even higher up in the sky, and now it'll be dominating the south in the early evening. And then this is Friday. Saturday, it's in the constellation Pisces, the fish. You can see that. If I go a little bit later in the evening, you'll see it clearly. There's Pisces. Now, Pisces is an interesting constellation. It's faint. It's quite large in the sky, and we haven't talked too much about it, but I think one particular configuration of stars you can look for if you're interested in finding Pisces is what's called the asterism called the circlet. And it's going to be positioned just right of the moon and just north of the planet Neptune. There you go. Neptune is a planet that's it's an 8th magnitude object, a dot in the sky, so you definitely need binoculars to pick out Neptune, but it has that greenish blue glow that's very, very distinct. So remember, this is a planet that's about 4 billion kilometers away from us, and you can see it with binoculars. It just looks like this distinct greenish star that glows. It's the only one like that color in that part of the sky, so you can't really misrepresent it. It's something that you can really see. And the moon is going to be just off to the left of it. And it'll be right actually between Jupiter and the moon. Again, this is Saturday, January 8th. Saturday, January 8th, about a couple of hours after your local sunset, when it gets dark in your skies, is the best time to see it. So you'll find the moon. It'll be a near quarter moon by that time on Saturday, and then you'll look for Neptune wedged right in between, halfway between the moon and Jupiter, which will be lower in the sky in the southwest. You can see there's the horizon. Saturn's already setting. This is set for around 6:30 at night, my time here in Montreal, and the planet Neptune, searching with binoculars, you'll be searching between the moon and Jupiter, halfway along that lineup. And then getting back to the circlet, I want you to see in Pisces, that's this group of stars. Let me just get it a little bit darker for you. And I'm going to turn on the asterism here in my software so you can see it right there, the circlet. See it in orange? There, I'm going to zoom in a little bit there for you. There you go. And so again, this is going to be on Saturday, but it's there. I mean, it's on any night. I'm just pointing out Saturday because the moon is going to be there as a kind of as a guidepost. So if you have binoculars, this will help. And of course, once the moon moves away by Sunday and Monday, the circlet will still be there. but you know where to look. And it's basically just, you can see it's just north of, just above where Jupiter is. Again, it's in between the moon and Jupiter is where you're looking for the circlet above Neptune. And there it is. It represents kind of the head of one of the fishes in the constellation Pisces. It's a zodiacal constellation, very traditional, very old, ancient constellation, and representing the fishes. And there is that circlet asterism. So it's this kind of very circlet of stars that are faint. You're looking for something, very faint stars, but if you have dark enough skies, with the naked eye, you should be able to see them. But binoculars will definitely help. And this is kind of, it'll fit just outside of you can't get the whole thing with an average pair of binoculars unless they're really low power. But a 7x50, for instance, this is about a 7x50. You can see it just doesn't quite make it into the entire field of binoculars. But with the naked eye, you can clearly see this circlet. So that's something I want you guys to try out for. I'll put a star chart in the comments or in the timeline on my Facebook page and on Instagram. So you'll be able to check that out. I'll do that later this week. And of course, SkyChart showing this whole setup. I think this is something neat to try. It's definitely should be on your bucket list to try for Neptune. Now, there's one last thing for this week, and that is, of course, a meteor shower. What a great way to start the year. Let me dial that in for you so you know where it's happening. A little bit of that here. It's called the quadrantids. Okay, here we go. Or quadrantids. It's a funny name. I always have a problem with it, but I like to call it the New Year's shower. It peaks on the night of January 3rd, which is Monday tonight. That's right. We've got a meteor shower tonight, Monday night, into Tuesday morning. And so this is where the radiant of the showers. It's near actually where Draco is right now. It's kind of embedded where Draco the dragon is. Ursa Minor, the little bear, is just above the radiant. And look, there's the Big Dipper. So it's just next to the Big Dipper where the meteors appear to be radiating out from. Now, the name quadrantids comes from an ancient constellation that's now been retired. And it's climbing up in mid-evening in the eastern sky. So if you trace back the individual shooting stars from this New Year's shower, they all appear to be coming from this one part of the sky that's occupied by where Draco is and the constellation Bootes, the charioteer. But it's really just off the handle of the Big Dipper is where you're looking. So, most of us don't know these other constellations. I don't expect you to know all of these to really, and to enjoy this show, you don't really need to know this, but I think it's kind of neat to, if you see and trace back those individual meteors, you'll notice that the meteors are kind of radiating out from just off the handle of the Big Dipper. So with just by that, I'm telling you guys all, wherever you are around the world, Northern Hemisphere observers, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, north of the equator, you'll get a better view of more of the shooting stars than if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, because of the radiant being kind of so far north in the celestial sphere. So near the Big Dipper, obviously. But even if you're in the south, you'll see shooting stars. Now, how many? Depending on your sky conditions, how dark they are, meaning how little light pollution. The less light pollution, you'll see more, of course, but the expectation is somewhere around anywhere from, say, 30 to 100 shooting stars, believe it or not, per hour. Really good show. The quadrantids are as good as the Geminids and the Perseids that we talk so much about in December and August, right? So these ones you don't hear too much about them because everyone's usually very busy, still celebrating and relaxing and not really going outside. And if it's minus 23 degrees like it is here in Montreal, you don't really go out too much. You have to really want to see this in extreme cold weather. But if you do have clear skies, tonight, night of January 3rd, Monday night into Tuesday, January 4th morning, in the overnight period, you should see anywhere from 30 to 100 shooting stars per hour. If you can get out of the city into dark countrysides, you'll see more shooting stars coming out from this shower. It's really nice. Of course, remember, you're looking at basically sand grain sized particles left behind by comets that round the sun. And that's this cloud of debris, cometary debris, is what's burning up in the upper atmosphere. About 70 to 100 kilometers above our heads is where these little tiny sand grain sized particles zip across and burn up quickly. So the quadrantids are peaking Monday night to Tuesday morning. Get outside, wait about 15 minutes to half hour for your eyes to adapt to darkness, and you'll be able to see lots of shooting stars and make plenty of wishes wherever you are. I mean, this is something that you should be able to see. Share it with your friends and family and make lots of wishes. And I know what I'm wishing for this year. And thanks so much for joining me. If you like this video, make sure you smash that subscribe button so you don't miss my next video, and it shows your support for the work I do here. It's with pleasure. I love to share my passion with you and make sure that we get as many people as we can to look up at the skies. It's a great activity. It's fun. It doesn't cost any money. It's free, and it's open to all ages. So do try going out and enjoy the stars. Until next time, I wish all of you guys clear skies. Bye-bye.